Are the lights low because of the live stream, or can we have more lights in the theater until later when we do the length of service awards? That's as bright as they go. Okay. You know, it's sort of like squinting. Some of you I can see, some of you are just shadows. That's all good, all good. All right, good morning, everyone. Morning, yes, and welcome to the January 2015 convocation. I know that the weather was complicated this morning, and so I especially appreciate the effort that you made to get to campus today. I want to take a moment to thank our entire facilities crew for being here at the crack of dawn to clear the parking lots, the sidewalks, and to try to stay on top of this wintry mix so that we could all get here safely. So would you please join me in thanking our facility people? They hadn't done my driveway, though. Or at least not before I left this morning. But they probably thought, she'll walk up. I didn't. It really is another reminder of our interdependency as a college community. Everyone who works at this college performs an essential role, and we can't do it without each other. So just wanted to, to say hello to everyone. We're here in the theater, and those of you who are participating live stream of today's presentation, I hope you've poured yourself a cup of coffee or tea, and don't make the lights brighter on me. I look better in the dark. But anyway, we're live streaming because we, although there are plenty of seats here, so we probably could accommodate more people in the theater than we think. But we do have to keep our offices open, and we do have Dutchess South, so we wanted to live stream today's presentation so that everyone who was interested and who had the capacity to see what was happening could see us while this was happening. With the fall semester and the holiday season already fading in the past, it's really time to focus our sights on the work ahead of us. I don't think I'm too far out on the limb to say that the next few months at Dutchess Community College are going to be epic. And so I thought the best way for me to use my time with you this morning is to outline the work we need to accomplish together in the coming months. So this is something less of a formal presentation, but I am going to be going through a number of things that we've been working on and what I hope we'll be accomplishing. We are joined together by two guests. Some of you have met them during the coffee hour, but let me introduce them formally to you. The two guests are Paul Izzo and Michael Wong. I don't know where they ended up sitting. Oh, there they are. Paul Izzo and Michael Wong. Paul and Mike are here as a result of a strategic planning grant we were awarded by IBM in the fall of 2014. Paul started his career as a high school math teacher in southern New Jersey. He then held several technical positions with various software development companies before coming to IBM in 1984. He has held several management positions with IBM over the past 30 years. During this period, Paul has worked closely with clients in various industries, helping them develop strategic initiatives to grow their business. Paul comes to us from southeastern North Carolina and has two adult children who live in New York, so I hope you get to see them while you're here, Paul. Mike Wong works for IBM Strategy Analytics Consulting Practice. Mike has over 20 years working directly for a number of Fortune's most admired companies, including Apple Computer, Merck, AstraZeneca, IBM, and Merck in a variety of strategy, marketing, sales, and international positions. Mike has also been a columnist for the Philadelphia Social Innovations Journal and has taught business as an adjunct professor at St. Joseph's University, Philadelphia. So thank you for joining us, and let me tell you what they're going to be doing with us while they're here. Paul and another IBM colleague, Eric Chang, visited our campus in the fall and interviewed the entire cabinet individually, and also observed several of the task force meetings that we had convened in the fall. Paul is going to be here through tomorrow, and Mike will be here through Thursday. They're going to help us to clarify our mission, review our governance structure, and help us create a 3-year strategic plan and a functioning long-range strategic planning process that will serve us for years to come. The value of their consultancy increases with the extent to which we share our strengths and our challenges with them. And I know that you're going to extend to them the same kind of Dutchess Community College hospitality that I have enjoyed and I have seen you afford to others. Mike and Paul are here to share with us their expertise of working with all different kinds of institutions and helping us to ask the right questions and to find our own answers. So please engage them in conversations, share your hopes for the institution, and let's use their expertise to the best of our abilities. The Middle States Self-Study. I am pleased and relieved to share with you that this seemingly unending process of completing our self-study is in fact coming to an end. Our compliance report will be filed later today, and the self-study will move from draft to final in time to present to the Board of Trustees with our complete document at the next meeting on January 27th. And I will digress for 1 second. Speaking of the Board of Trustees, we are joined here this morning by Dan Kuffner, a member of the Board of Trustees. So thank you, Dan, for making the effort to come. Oh, there he is. So thank you, Dan, for coming. While many of you have contributed to the development of the document, and the entire cabinet, along with Keith O'Neill, Mike Rowe, and Peter Phipps, have continued to further refine the language and format of it, and will be spending their afternoon in the boardroom on the document again today, I want to take a moment to recognize the leadership of our Vice President of Administration, Dr. Bill Anderson. Bill has ensured that the Middle States self-study stayed on track and would be completed by the required deadline. And I am sure that Bill would want me to also cite his outstanding staff, in particular Christina Crawford and Lisa Keto, who have been working constantly behind the scenes to make sure that all of the necessary evidence is available and linked to the self-study. Honestly, as president of Dutchess Community College, the Middle States self-study was one of my major priorities. And without Bill's expertise and his tenacity, I don't think we'd be where we are today. So thank you, Bill, very, very much. So when you came in today, you got the list of recommendations and suggestions that are currently included in the draft self-study. So you can refer to that. As you can see, there's a small set of recommendations and a long list of suggestions. As a reminder, the recommendations are statements that we are making an institutional commitment to actualize, while the suggestions are statements of things that we anticipate doing but are not formally committing to. In other words, Middle States will hold us accountable for our recommendations and would like to see progress on our suggestions. I'm going to, this morning, update you on the progress we've already made on the recommendations. A task force led by Vice President of Student Services, Dr. Carol Stevens, with representation by all elements of the college workforce, has been meeting now for several months to consider the college mission statement, institutional values, and goals. They're going to be presenting the results of their research and collective decision-making at an open forum tomorrow afternoon and inviting comments from the entire college on their work to date. I highly encourage you to participate in the forum, but if the timing precludes your in-person participation, I hope you will respond to their requests for electronic feedback. So the Mission and Goals Forum is tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 4 in Bound 122. A second task force led by the Dean of Academic Affairs, Dr. Ellen Gambino, also with representation of all elements of the college workforce and meeting for several months, is working on the second recommendation of completing a comprehensive long-range strategic planning process. Ellen's task force will be presenting their good work to the college community on Wednesday. And again, the entire college community is invited to provide comments and suggestions. And finally, the third task force, led by the Dean of Community Services, Ginny Stoffel, will present their research and recommendations on our governance structure on Thursday. All three task forces are meeting in Bound Hall, 2 to 4. And I think we'll also be checking to see whether it's possible to live stream from Bound Hall. Is it? It is. Is that a yes? All right. So, Bob, I hope these right. Following the forums this week, there will be postings to my DCC inviting your comments and suggestions. We are also planning regular updates on the status of these three areas as we move towards finalizing the mission goals, governance structure, and strategic plan by the end of the spring semester. When our reaccreditation team visits us at the end of March, we will be able to share with them the progress we have already made on our self-study recommendations. We're confident that they will be pleased that we have moved aggressively on our own recommendations. In addition to these three task force meetings, a budget forum is planned for next Tuesday afternoon. It's 12:30 to 1:45, and I think we're going to be in the Taconic Hall, new lecture hall. Dr. Bill Anderson will be providing a budget 101 about how the budget is built, along with our current financial status and various projections about our financial future. This is part of our campaign to make information about the college widely available so that our collective decision-making is based on a shared understanding of valid data. So if you want to know, with the financial status of this institution, I highly recommend that you sit in on the budget so you understand where our resources come from and how we utilize them. We'll be sending updates about these things out to the entire college as well. In addition to those, the three task forces and the budget forum that's going to take place, an enrollment and management committee has also been meeting with the intention of creating a 3-year enrollment plan for 2015 to 2018. This plan should become an integral part of the long-range strategic plan. Understanding that there is a predicted decline in the high school enrollment across the country, but also in Dutchess County, this committee is exploring opportunities for us to reach new populations of students, including adults who either don't have a post-secondary credential or are looking to change fields. The types of plans that we are creating are heavily dependent on the quality of information that we have available to us. Predicting the future is always problematic, but it can be more realistic by studying data and trends. So we are investing in a few new resources to help us make wise and informed choices about our future student profile and any new programming. But before I tell you what new resources we will have at our disposal, I want to recognize the tremendous work of Donna Johnson, along with her staff, Marianne Kinsella and Mary Ramaglia, in the Institutional Effectiveness Office. Since coming to Dutchess, I've relied on Donna for answers for questions that I have about the work we are doing at the college. Frankly, I've been a pest, but it's so convenient. She's so close to me. Donna has really been patient and consistently provided me with the answers to my questions. We have invaluable in-house resources in our research office, and their work should not and will not be available to a select few. Donna has already taken steps to make institutional information accessible to anyone who is interested. So Donna and company, thank you so very much. So while our in-house capacity is strong, and probably also needs to grow because, as I'm sure you're very much aware, evidence-based decision-making is no longer a nice to do, it's a requirement. And therefore, the need for continuous data and good data informing our decisions is extremely important. And, you need data that you can use. So we need good people in our research office, and we're looking to see about, making sure that the staffing in our research office is sufficient to answer not only questions that I may have, but the questions that you have as well about the work that you're doing in classrooms and in programs and in services at the college. There's a wealth of data available outside of our institution that can help us to plan for the future. And we have identified and contracted with some resources that we think are going to assist us in setting the future direction of the college. One is EMSI. It's Economic Modeling Specialists International. But EMSI, we are in partnership with the Dutchess County Workforce Investment Board, our local WIB, is helping to finance some part of this contract. We're investing in some economic information to help us better plan for the future. What EMSI does is turn labor market data from 90 different sources into useful information. Sometimes, too much information can be as much of a problem as not enough information. EMSI will help us to understand the connection between the economy, our people, and the work that we do here at the college. They take data and they translate it into charts and reports that all of us, even those of us not trained in economics, can understand and really use. They're going to be doing two specific things for us. They're going to do a gap analysis report. And what this is they're going to look at economic data to tell us how well our programs, our current programs, both credit and non-credit, are equipping workers with specific workforce needs of the local economy. The gap analysis will examine 10 counties. So we're using 9 in New York and 1 in Connecticut. They'll look at these counties. They're going to look to see which fields of study or which work is oversupplied and which ones are undersupplied. And their report should help us to direct our resources appropriately. It will indicate what the high demand occupations are and the ones that regional institutions aren't currently training for. So in other words, it's not going to just look at the programs that we provide, but all the other educational institutions in these 10 counties as well. Those are, to say that there are competitors, to a certain extent that's true. But when you look at the economy as a whole, our educational institutions as a group preparing the workforce that the economy needs. So they're going to tell us where those gaps are so that we can update our programs, create new programs, and perhaps sunset some. But this information, again, is going to be widely available. This is, what we know, you will know. And we'll digest the information together. The second service that EMSI is going to provide for us is called a career coach. And the career coaches will live on our website. So any student or visitor to our website, frankly, will be able to go in and research a career. They'll know how many job openings there are in our area. They'll know what whether the workforce, the age of that workforce, because there are some of these occupations where the workforce is, we have an older workforce anticipating retirement, so we can therefore plan that there are going to be many more opportunities in that workforce. So it's going to give that kind of level of data to students and other interested partners. We'll be able to see the total jobs that are available, annual openings by the occupation, and they'll be able to see what the average earnings are. And then the career coach will link to the programs here at the college. So if somebody goes in, for example, and wants to know about engineering, they're going to see what the engineering occupation, the occupations which rely on an engineering degree are in our area, what the age of the workforce is, how many annual openings there are, what is the predicted growth in this area, what's the average salary, what kind of education do you need, and then where can the student train or be educated in that particular field. So it's those of us who have looked at this see it as a particularly powerful tool and one that will be extremely useful for our career and counseling area. And I think they've already been in there looking at it and becoming familiar so that they can work with our students to use it as well. So that's the first resource, that's EMSI. The second resource is EAB, which stands for Education Advisory Board. This is a resource that I think will be especially valuable to us at the college. This is a membership organization that provides best practice research, consulting services, business intelligence, and data analytics, along with leadership development. If you look at the membership list of EAB, you can find this at www.eab.com, or just Google it. When you look at their membership list, it's a who's who of outstanding community colleges as well as four-year colleges and university. They have an extensive research library of best practice studies, which answer important questions regarding enrollment management, maximizing student services, measuring student outcomes, anticipating future industry demands, online education, operational excellence, capturing alternative resources, assessment and reporting and professional development, along with internationalization and risk management. These are all topics that are salient to what we need to be working on at DCC. And we neither have the staff or the time to do all of this research ourselves. So in order to sustain and build on our current excellence, we need to invest in the right tools. The cabinet and I think this is a good resource available and are committed to making full utilization of its membership features. You will be, the cabinet, members of the cabinet will be sharing with faculty and staff in their areas reports that are, especially applicable to the work that you're doing. And we look forward to sharing more of that resource with you, throughout the year. On assessment, and another resource that we're developing, these are some of the questions that we've been asking. Do DCC students demonstrate that they have met the learning outcomes the institution has set? At the institutional level, student learning outcomes, program level, and course level, do we know what our students know? I'm happy to tell you that Dr. Leah Akins, our professor of engineering, has taken up the challenge of helping us to answer these questions. Leah will have a 4-credit release this spring semester to work with the Office of Academic Affairs to engage faculty and staff on the development of an institutional academic assessment plan, that will meet our middle state expectations and can be sanctioned by our internal governance processes, including the support of the Board of Trustees. You'll be hearing much more about this from Leah in the weeks ahead. We're really grateful to Leah for stepping up to lead this work. Her long-standing interest in assessment, coupled with her personal experience as a faculty member and department chair, makes her especially appropriate to engage in this important conversation with her peers. So, Leah, I know she's here. Thank you, Leah. All right, now I'm going to switch gears a little bit. One of the questions that I've been asking Donna Johnson and her staff is, what is happening to our student population when they enter Dutchess? How many are successful and how many are struggling, especially in their first semester? And so some of what Donna has been able to provide for me, and if I misspeak or translate this information wrong, it's all me, not her. So I just wanted to let you know that. All right. Of the 2,648 new and transferred students that began in fall 2013, so a year ago here, 359 of those students, so 2,648, 359 of them earned no credits, not even remedial credit in their first semester. Only 76 of those 359 students returned in the spring semester. Again, of the 2,648 students who started college as a new or a transferred student, 963 of them had a GPA under 2.0, and only 524 of them returned in the spring semester. It's about 1 in 3 students who comes to college, with aspirations of getting a college credential, and in a very short period of time are frustrated or discouraged, or life gets in the way for any number of reasons, which is one of the reasons we need to drill down in this data to find out, who are these students, and then find some solutions or organize around what we find out about them. We focus so much on what we do right that the students who struggle with us can sometimes get forgotten. I have to believe that every student starts with wanting to finish. They put down their $50, which is one of the things that we've had conversations about, whether some of the students who are in these data have paid $50, but they never stepped on campus, or they never attended your classes. And is that why, we have large numbers who didn't earn any credit? It may be easy to walk away from a $50 deposit, and we don't require them to have a plan for paying for their tuition by the time classes start. We're raising the question. We're going to see if we can, find an answer and fix some of this. That first semester, though, and it's really not even the whole first semester, it's really those first few weeks. If we don't connect with them, if we don't engage those students in the first few weeks, we know by the time they get to midterms and they're not doing well, it's like, it's really difficult to recover. So they need feedback from us. They need feedback from the faculty early on in the semester as to, how they're doing in class. So they need early and often assessment. They need to be connected with people. We need to, as soon as we know that someone is struggling, we need to, to start reaching out to them. And that's why Starfish was brought in as a resource for the institution. And I haven't personally been updated on how Starfish worked in that first semester, but I think that that's something that bears a conversation as to, what we know from our first experience with it and how to build on it. And I know that there have been some concerns about it, and that both academic affairs and student services are working with faculty and staff to understand how to use this resource most effectively. As a result of, some of this data, and Donna very quickly looked at 2014, and 2014 data is very similar. It's about, we had fewer students who started in the fall, but the percentages of students who earned no credit and the large number of students who didn't achieve a 2.0 is still there. So we have a group of people right now on campus looking to see if we are in position to apply for a Student Support Services grant, which is a U.S. Department of Education program that only comes up every 5 years. It's a 5-year grant if it's awarded, and it would be worth $220,000 a year. So it's over a $1 million investment by the federal government in low-income, first-generation students and students with disabilities. And the resources are used to increase retention and graduation rates of these students and increase their transfer from 2-year to 4-year institutions. The resources are to be used for tutoring, academic tutoring, course selection advice, assistance with financial aid, and in improving financial and economic literacy. The grant was only posted in the Federal Register on December 18th. The grant is due February 2nd. I mean, this is tough. We don't have a grants office, and so, we are in discussion with the organization that assisted the college with a successful Title III grant. We will make a final decision about whether to proceed with this grant by Wednesday. In the meantime, we have a team of people in student services and academic affairs and institutional effectiveness compiling data, identifying potential strategies and objectives for a proposal. As I came into this institution with a long history of working with grants. I believe that grants are an important part of an academic institution for 2 reasons. And it's not just one of them, of course, is the financial investment. It's bringing in those additional resources. Just think what we could do with $220,000 a year to support our incoming students, low-income, first-generation students. We could we increase our Smart Start program, our Focus program? Could we have more people mentoring or reaching out to these students? Could we reduce class size? There's any number of things that are possibilities with these dollars so that those students who start with us are able to finish with us. So the money is one thing. The second thing, though, is that with these kinds of programs, you join a national community of higher education institutions seeking solutions. And there's real value to us as Dutchess Community College to be in that mix. It might be worth the really heavy lift that we're asking of our staff, to try to pull this grant together by February 2nd. But if we can't make it this time, we're going to prepare the institution to be applying for these kinds of resources in the future. And that will probably mean that we're going to need a grants office, an office which is monitoring grant opportunities and is working to support both individual faculty in applying for resources to support your research and individual interests, as well as institutional grants that can support us as an institution as a whole. And this is probably, a good opportunity to congratulate Camilo Rojas. Camilo has informed me that he has won a second Fulbright. And I bet at the next PSO meeting, he could tell us more about that. Yeah, all right. But supporting the work that you do is important, keeping you actively engaged in your fields of study, keeping you connected with resources that help you with your research, and the books that you're writing, the performances, the exhibits, those sorts of things, they not only revitalize you, but they burnish the image of the institution as a whole. It's things like Joe Casatina getting a second book, published, right? Yeah. You really are a talented group of people, and we want to provide as much support as possible so that we can keep stoke those fires. So we're looking at that. Other news this spring. How many of you were here in 2009? Right, because we're going to be celebrating all these longevity awards, so I knew there were plenty of people who were here in 2009. Right? In 2009, it was the last year that Dutchess Community College participated in the Community College Survey of Student Engagement. Do you remember SESI? Right. SESI provides information about effective educational practice in community colleges and assists institutions in using that information to promote improvements in student learning and persistence. We are going to participate this year. There are 11 SUNY community colleges who are also participating, including several of the campuses in close geographic proximity to us, including Ulster, Orange, Sullivan, and Westchester. The SESE results will benchmark our performance with our peers on active and collaborative learning, student effort, academic challenge, student-faculty interaction, and support for learners. The SESE results will help identify areas in which we can enhance services and document and improve institutional effectiveness. The results will be used to inform our decision-making and target institutional improvements. So this is going to be administered during the spring term between February and April. Now, the way SESI works is that there is a random sample stratified by class start time. So essentially, they take an institution's schedule and they randomly select, different classes at different times that are where the entire student class is surveyed. This is a paper and pencil survey, and it takes about 55 minutes. So I know what I'm asking of you. I know that giving up valuable class time is significant for you as faculty. I want to make sure that our survey, I'm asking you to do this for a number of reasons. We're at a point in our development as an institution with finishing our middle states accreditation and with the new president and with our strategic plan that we're going to be creating, where we want to know, we need to benchmark where we are now so that we can, over a period of time, document the extent to which we're improving on these critical areas. So this is not something we will do on an annual basis, but after 2009, after 6 years, it's time for the institution to do this. But I want to make sure that the sample that we provide to them is in fact a valid one. So we will not cherry pick classes. If you are selected to administer the survey, we need you to fully cooperate with the instructions. So, keep your fingers crossed that the weather cooperates with us and we have a minimum number of snow days, if any. And that if you're asked to give up a class period to do a survey, that you're able to figure out how to manage that and still meet your learning objectives. I'm asking you to do this, but then I'm going to assure you that when the results come back, that they will, we won't cherry pick the results either. Everyone will see the results, and we'll have a discussion as a community as to what they tell us and where we want to invest to make improvements. And it's also an opportunity for you as faculty to explain to students about, research. And as an educational institution, the importance of research for answering questions. And that, how does survey research work? What does it mean for it to be randomized? How do we as professionals go about answering questions? So see it as being, a teachable moment and use the survey. So you'll be receiving more information about SESI, but I wanted to give you a heads up on that today. So some other spring news. If you go to our human resources page, you'll see that we have a substantial number of faculty and staff hires that we are in the process of filling. I want to say to you that we're committed to cultivating a faculty and staff that is reflective of our community. And I encourage you to reach out to people in your network, informing them of the opportunities to teach and work here at Dutchess, and how our evolving culture is going to make this an incredibly interesting and stimulating place to be. And I want to thank everyone who volunteered to be part of the search committees, as there are quite a list of search committees that are taking place. So thankfully, we have the resources to make these hires, and I look forward to the selection of some outstanding people to join your ranks. The other thing that's happening this spring and summer are contract negotiations with DO. The current DO contract is going to, with faculty and professional staff, expires in August of 2015. In anticipation of the discussion of the terms of this agreement, I initiated a book club in the fall with representative of all the college employee groups. So there's been about 25 of us who have met. We've met twice now for several hours each time. And we are 2/3 through the book. The book we've been reading is Getting to Yes, Negotiating Agreement Without Giving In. It's by Roger Fisher and William Ury of the Harvard Negotiation Project. Although the book's been around since 1981, it's been updated a couple of times, and it's used by any number of people to basically put everybody on the same page. Page. So we have a common understanding of language, of how, really human interaction is all about negotiating, and how we can negotiate effectively in our personal relationships and all the way up into institutional relationships. So I think the conversations have helped us to establish a level of trust and respect with each other. And, as we go into the negotiations, my sincere hope is that we at Dutchess can set an example for civil and effective contract negotiations for the entire state, for all of SUNY. I would really I hope that we can have an exemplary process. I don't expect it to be easy. I think it will be challenging, but we can do it. And by the way, Dan Kuffner, as a representative of the Board of Trustees, has been sitting in on our book group as well. So it's good to have the board fully engaged in these conversations and getting to know you, on a much more personal level. Finally, I want to touch on the importance of engaging with our community on common concerns. At the recent State of the College address I gave at the President's Breakfast on Thursday, I shared with the audience that 75% of all of our graduates remain in the county, and 95% of them remain in the state. So given that the overwhelming number of students come from and remain here, how important is it that we engage them in understanding and helping to solve the issues that face their communities and this county as a whole? While we currently have a host of efforts at the college which connects our students to the community, I think we can do more and we can be more deliberate in what we are trying to accomplish. We can move beyond charity, which only treats the symptoms of problems and not the underlying causes of poverty. Today, many of us contributed canned goods to assist with the empty food pantries, and some of us, along with our students, will be helping to serve meals at the lunchbox in the city of Poughkeepsie, for the next two weeks to fill a need created by the loss of the Vassar and Marist students who serve during the semester but are away during the spring break. I just pointed out when I was over at Dutchess Outreach, which runs the lunchbox, and they were explaining to me, we actually were there on a day that Marist students were helping to serve the noon meal. So the Vassar and Marist students largely are from away. So they come here, they're enrolled in local institutions, they help serve the community. But then they're gone. They're gone during these, substantial breaks. And most of them don't end up living here and participating in solving the problems of our community. So how much more powerful is it when your own students who are from these communities are serving, in these organizations and are able to see firsthand what the issues are in the communities in which they will pay taxes and cast votes and volunteer their time. So as far as I'm concerned, the charity, and although we will continue to collect cans at events like this, and we will continue to serve the needy in the community, these activities simply introduce us to the existence of local problems, as well as to the realization that we can make a difference. But ultimately, we want our students to reflect on why these supports are necessary and to speculate about what needs to happen to solve the problem of hunger, of environmental degradation, of injustice, of racism, all of these social problems. I mean, this college has a social problems course, but the extent to which that social problems course is addressing local needs and whether our students see that connection are things that we should be asking. Do our students understand their social responsibility? Do they know how to engage in community-based decision-making? And do they know the importance of civic engagement? I mean, when I interviewed for this position, I think one of the reasons I was hired here is because of my passion for community and meeting local community needs. And when I posed the question to the search committee, I said, if you don't want to be involved in community service, I'm not the person for you. And I was assured that that is what this institution wanted. And from what I've seen already in this first semester that I've been with you, I think there is this genuine desire to make a difference in the community. And so the P-TECH program, working with the city of Poughkeepsie to strengthen their academic program so that the needle on graduation in the city of Poughkeepsie moves from just over 50% to, my goodness, we've got a lot of room to grow there. So those are So in April, and this is another resource that will be coming to campus, 2 highly regarded national faculty leaders on the integration of service into the curriculum will visit us. Donna and John Duffy are not only partners in life, they've been married for a long time, but they are committed community engagement educators, and I'm lucky to call them friends. I worked side by side with Donna Duffy at Middlesex Community College in Massachusetts for a long time. They're going to spend a few days with us talking with you about expanding our civic and community engagement and discussing ways to integrate service learning opportunities throughout the curriculum. Donna has a PhD in psychology from Washington University. She worked for the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching. She's a co-editor of the American Association for Higher Education monograph in psychology with service in mind. She was the first community college faculty member to be awarded the Thomas Ehrlich Civically Engaged Faculty Award in 1999. And that award is from the National Campus Compact organization, which is an organization of college presidents who are committed to service in the curriculum. Her husband, John Duffy, has a doctorate in science, also from Washington University, and is a retired professor of mechanical engineering at the University of Massachusetts Lowell. John's work is focused on solar and mechanical engineering. He personally has led 150 students on 27 trips to the Andes in Peru to install solar panels to support refrigeration of medicine. So every summer they would pack up those supplies and they'd climb up the mountain on burros, and the engineering students would assist small villages with the type of sustainable technology that would enable them to keep medicine available to meet the health concerns of their population. So John and Donna have agreed to come spend a few days with us and share their experience and help lead the development of our service learning program. And again, this is one of the things that you're going to be hearing more about in the weeks to come. So that's the extent of what I wanted to share with you this morning. It is going to be a very busy semester. I'm really glad to see all of you back, and I'm looking forward to see what we can accomplish together. So we're all good. Now, Esther's going to come in. I'm really excited about seeing these Length of Service awards. So Esther's going to do the honors from here on. You good?
You're going to shut the light up? Otherwise I'll have an episode. Good morning, everyone. Glad to see all of you. Hope you have a very happy and healthy and prosperous new year. This is the time each year that we recognize the accomplishments of our faculty and administrative staff, with special recognition given to those individuals who have reached milestone years of service. I'm pleased to assist Dr. Eddington in presenting the Length of Service Awards this morning to 15 individuals. Collectively, they have served Dutchess Community College for 325 years. Some don't look that old, right? 6 have served for 25 or more years. Recipients should come forward as your name is called to receive your award from Dr. Eddington. And I ask that all the honorees come up to the stage at the end of the presentation so we can have a group photograph. We'll start. So 10 years ago, it's a very interesting year, the curse of the Bambino is finally lifted. The Red Sox win the World Series. Ken Jennings won 74 straight games in Jeopardy, totaling $2.5 million. Ronald Reagan, unfortunately for him, dies at the age of 93. And a 9.3 magnitude earthquake unfortunately killed 260,000 people that year in the Pacific Rim. In 1989, we got to meet Catherine Tabor McGuire, Assistant Professor, Department of Engineering, Architecture, and Computer Technologies. Please join me in congratulating Catherine. Laura Murphy, Associate Professor, Department of History, Government, and Economics. Sarah Taylor, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, Physical, and Computer Sciences. And although David is not able to, oh, are you coming? No, David is not able to come today. We were told he's not able to make it. We're accepting his award on his behalf. Instructor, Department of Allied Health and Biological Sciences. So congratulations to David. 15 years ago, in 1999, the New York Yankees win the World Series, and that's for John. Where are you, John? The Blair Witch Project took Hollywood by storm, and surprise. The Sopranos debuted on HBO. The euro is introduced, and world population hit 6 billion people for the first time. Celebrating 15 years of service today is Eileen Hall, Field Lab Supervisor, Department of Behavioral Sciences. Congratulations. Thomas Trinchera, Assistant Librarian at the library. Congratulations. And Timothy Welling, Associate Professor, Department of Mathematics, Physical, and Computer Sciences. Years ago in 1994. No one wins the World Series. The Major League Baseball Players Association went out on strike that year. Forrest Gump wins Best Picture Oscar. Rodney King is awarded $3.8 million in compensation. The Dow Jones closes over 3,900 for the first time. I think Friday it was 17,000 something. And the most famous car chase, O.J. Simpson on Interstate 405. Some of us may have been home watching. Or here. And celebrating 20 years of service is Linda Biesmer, Assistant to the President and Recording Secretary to the Board of Trustees in the President's Office. Former President Conklin offers the following comments. I'm delighted to add my congratulations to Linda on completing 20 years of service at Dutchess Community College. The old adage is true. Good things come in small packages. I had the pleasure of working with Linda for 20 years. During those 2 decades, I found her to not only be exceedingly competent, but a wonderful colleague. The quality of Linda's work is exceptional. As assistant to the president, Linda knew and appreciated the necessity of being discreet, accurate, and precise at all times. Linda is well regarded by the members of the Board of Trustees as she has prepared materials for the board meeting each month. She is responsive to the needs of the board members for information but goes beyond and serves the needs of the board members for information and extends many courtesies to them, which are well appreciated. Plus, she is an outstanding representative of the Office of the President, as well as the college. My one regret in retirement is not receiving Linda's Christmas cookies this year. Hint, hint, hint. Many Board of Trustee members had much praise for Linda. Kip Blakely O'Neill says, for 20 years, Linda has been one of the most valuable members of the college community. She epitomizes the true meaning of our mission at Dutchess, to care for our students, our college, and our community. Linda's intelligence, efficiency, loyalty, and sense of humor have been of great benefit to the Board of Trustees, the President, the members of the Foundation Board, and the community at large. We are fortunate to have Linda in our midst, and we are grateful for her services. It has been a pleasure working with Linda for the past 17 years. Vince DeMasso, Vice Chair, says, as Chair of the Presidential Search Committee, I was blessed to have Linda guiding me daily through the process. She is a true professional and dedicated to her position. Dan Kuffner says, Linda is an absolute pleasure to work with. Her professionalism, friendliness, courtesy, and secretarial proficiencies are second to none. I hesitate to think what the Board of Trustees would do without her. Linda is top-notch in my book. According to Dr. Sherry Wesley, Linda is a gem. She is radiant and of great value. She is efficient, effective, and exemplifies confidentiality while inspiring confidence. I have had the pleasure of working with Linda in her current role and have known her and her work for many more years. Her community connections and reputation precede her DCC work and remain very strong today. Linda has the trust of the Board of Trustees, and that has never been misplaced. Without a doubt, much of DC's success is related to her ability to connect with and inspire people, to anticipate problems, and to manage follow-through on a wide range of issues. I congratulate and thank Linda for her 20 years to DCC. That's not it. More Board of Trustees. Rick Keller Coffey says, Linda is unflappable. She is also one of the most organized, professional, reliable, patient, helpful, gracious, and downright charming people that I have ever been fortunate enough to work with. While Linda's contributions to Dutchess Community College have, for the most part, been behind the scenes and sometimes very subtle, they have been irreplaceable and invaluable to the health of the school and the community. She has been the person who makes sure that plans get carried out and things get done, all the while using her impressive powers of persuasion. Is that a little strong? No. Plenty of pleasantries. Simply put, Linda has been an indispensable member and sometimes the backbone of DCC administration for a long, long time. President Ennington comments, I knew within 20 minutes of working with Linda that she would be invaluable to me. She has the extraordinary combination of a well-honed institutional memory, and which spans 20 years, a critical intelligence that she applies to every aspect of her work with the Board of Trustees, the Association, and the President, and an authentic personal connection with others, which ensures that everyone feels significant and important. And let's not forget her exceptional baking skills. Please join me in honoring and congratulating Linda. And that's her. Also celebrating 20 years of service is Michael Wida, Director of Student Activities. Mike's single comment about this award is, as the Grateful Dead said, what a long, strange trip it's been. Vice President and Dean Carol Stevens says Michael Wida has served the college since 1994, first as an assistant director, and then since 2000 as Director of Student Activities. Mike is able to welcome and engage a myriad population of students over the past 20 years. Through Mike's leadership, student activities has thrived and students have been afforded a comprehensive, positive collegiate experience. Mike has the personality, compassion, creativity, flexibility, and endurance required to mentor and transform students' lives. In the words of one student, Mike made him feel like an important member of the campus. In addition to student government, which has been a dynamic source of leadership and potential building, Mike coordinates many other activities, such as the Leadership Weekend, Club Recognition Day, the Lyceum Series, trips, and of course, graduation. He has been an important contributor to residential life, enriching and expanding student activities for students who live on campus 24/7. Mike is a pleasure to work with and a valued member of many committees, such as Black History Month. Most importantly, many students have credited Mike with being the cornerstone of their success at DCC. That's something. Often, community colleges are defined as commuter schools, which translates into students coming to campus, taking classes, and returning home. This is not the case for Dutchess. The Student Leadership Program, Strong Government, Student Government Association, and a host of family events, speakers, clubs, and engaging activities have resulted in our college known as the place to be. Mike has been pivotal in making sure students not only want to come to Dutchess, but to stay at Dutchess. His enthusiasm for what he brings to the campus is simply put contagious. Mike brings a youthful at 20 years, exciting and imaginative perspective to the campus, which he infuses into the student body. Under his quiet leadership, our students develop skills that enable them to explore, experience, and excel. Mike's strength is his ability to make students feel like Dutchess family members. Please join me in congratulating Mike on his 20 years. In 1989, 25 years ago, the Oakland A's win the World Series. The Energizer Bunny makes his debut. We are introduced to The Simpsons. Driving Miss Daisy wins Best Picture Oscar. Exxon Valdez oil spill disaster occurs that year. And we have the picture of the year, and some say the picture of the decade, the lone student in Tiananmen Square. That was some year. It was also the year that we met Pamela Duda. Pamela Duda, well, she was here a little bit before that. Instructor, Department of Nursing. Pamela, who's been part of the nursing department for over 25 years, first started teaching in the Nursing Skills Lab part-time in the early 1980s. She returned in 1989 on a full-time basis in the Nursing Skills Lab. Since 2012, she has been teaching in a full-time faculty position. DCC has been a huge part of Pamela's life. She graduated from the nursing program in 1980 after being an LPN for several years, later returning to teach and run the Nursing Skill and Simulation Lab. Pam received her bachelor's in nursing and master's in gerontology and nursing education from SUNY New Paltz. She knew from a young girl that nursing was what she wanted to do, and attributes the inspiration and success to her mother, who was a nurse, and her father, who was a teacher. Great combination. Pam has a diverse nursing background spanning over 39 years, which includes med-surg, maternity, ambulatory care and triage, long-term care, nursing administration, and diabetic education. She believes in maintaining high standards for herself and students with the hope that future graduates will expect the same from themselves when caring for their patients. In 2000, Pam received the Who's Who Among America's Teachers Award, which is an honor from students who wanted to express their gratitude to her teaching. She is serving her second term on the board of directors, is the scholarship chairperson for the New York State Nursing Association, and is continuing this appointment for the Professional Nurses Association of Dutchess and Putnam counties. On a personal note, Pam and her husband also love spending time with their grandson. She also wants you all to know that the women she has worked with over the years in the nursing department are amazing. The nursing department went into their archives and found the following comments that they would like to share with you. Pam readily accepts responsibility for her area and works well with students and faculty. She extends herself to assist students in becoming successful. Signed, Edna Gardenier. Since her initial hire, Ms. Duda has continued to work very diligently to fulfill her role as lab assistant. Ms. Duda ensures that high quality and standards are maintained at all times within the learning environment of the Nursing Skill Lab. Signed, Tony Doherty. It is with great pleasure that I recommend Pam for a faculty position with the Department of Nursing. She is highly qualified, has served the college for many years, and will be a great asset to the department. Signed, Madeline Bashoff. Pam, each time I look over my shoulder, you are there. As a DCC nursing graduate, as lab assistant, and now as faculty, it has been quite a journey, and you are still as diligent, hardworking, and conscientious as ever. The department is glad to have you on board. Signed, Inga Grutzner. Please join me in celebrating 25 years of service with Pam. 1984, 30 years ago, the Detroit Tigers wins the World Series. The most popular TV show that year was Dynasty. Who secretly watched? The AIDS virus is first identified. Clara Pella asks the question, where's the beef? Apple Computer unveils their Macintosh personal computer. And Vanessa Williams resigns her crown as Miss America. And you have to ask Holly Malella about that story. Celebrating 30 years of service is Holly Malella. Interim Associate Dean of Academic Affairs. Holly holds a bachelor's in physical education with a dance minor, as well as a master's in physical education with a concentration in master teaching from Kent State University, a master's in health education from Russell Sage College, and an EDD in human movement with a concentration in pedagogy and fitness administration from Boston University. She was the recipient of the 2004 Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Teaching and is a former recipient of the Dutchess County YWCA Salute to Women Award. Holly's supervisor, Dean Ellen Gambino, says, I've had the pleasure of working with Holly for more than 8 years. I can say with confidence, based on my experience in that time, that Holly is a wonderful teacher, a highly effective department head, an excellent colleague, and an all-around great person. This past year, she has stepped into the role of Associate Dean of Academic Affairs and has demonstrated how well all of those qualities translate to her new responsibilities. However, there are many more who have history with Holly whose voices should also be heard. For instance, in 2000, Dean Mary Louise Van Winkle said, Dr. Malella has distinguished herself as one of the truly outstanding professionals at Dutchess. She is an outstanding educator as shown by her commitment to her discipline, to her students, and to the development of her program. She has demonstrated her leadership capabilities and her successful management of all the faculty, staff, and facilities in Falcon Hall. In 2002, a member of her department wrote, Holly is by far the best boss I have ever worked for. She shows attention to detail, is honest, understanding, and offers ways for me to grow professionally. Dean Carl Denty said, Dr. Malella's students hold her in high esteem. The enthusiasm she generates is sensed and returned by those in her classes. Her fairness and evenness in the way she treats the individual faculty in her department, as well as her students, is noted openly and often. Holly Malella is an experienced administrator and a passionate teacher. In sum, Holly is an exceptional educator, and I hope that you will all join me in thanking her for her contributions to Dutchess for the past 30 years. I as well. Congratulations, Holly. '79, 35 years ago, Pittsburgh Pirates win the World Series. And it was a good year for Pittsburgh because the Pittsburgh Steelers win the Super Bowl. The 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant had a near meltdown event that year. 52 Americans are taken hostage in Tehran that lasted 444 days. That was some year. ESPN begins broadcasting on the air. Probably as a result of Pittsburgh. Kramer versus Kramer wins the Best Picture Oscar. Celebrating 35 years of service, we have 3 people today. Jeffrey Clark, Associate Professor, Department of Mathematics, Physical, and Computer Sciences. Tony Zito, his department head, says, Jeff represents the best we can ask for in a faculty member. At his 35th year of service, he is still a leader in our quest to improve developmental instruction and math placement. Jeff has been active in the Seamless Transfer Initiative, where his high personal standards and keen eye for detail are invaluable. He is the de facto chief of our computer science program, which he keeps up to date with an unflinching willingness to adapt to his latest innovations. Students are often struck first by Jeff's no-nonsense attitude in the classroom, then ultimately by how much they have learned from him. Invariably, they say they would recommend him highly to their classmates and others. Jeff's hobbies include reading science fiction and baking. No MPCS departmental celebration would be complete without a plate of his amazing cookies, which, by the way, will not be shared with the rest of us. Seems he has something in common with you, in competition maybe. Please join me in congratulating Jeffrey Clark on his 35 years of service. Also celebrating 35 years of service is Patrick Griffin, Director, Information Systems. Klaus Gessler, Associate Dean for Information Technology, says, in his 35 years of DCC, Patrick has been integral to the growth and success of Dutchess. He has adapted to and mastered whatever technology was the hot new technology of the day. That includes mainframes, mini computers, desktop computers, laptops, tablets, smartphones, and don't ask me what this is, but sonic screwdrivers. Please find me at lunch and tell me what that is. Patrick is a true example of lifelong learning. He is the essential ingredient to the Computer Center's success. As Director of Information Technology, Patrick is involved with every aspect of technology used on campus today. Whenever a new application or service is required, he is in the lead of the planning, implementation, and support. And if you ever wonder who is minding the store off hours, just look for Patrick. He's the man in the Doctor Who bow tie. I'm glad you wore a bow tie today. Patrick is respected and liked by everyone he works with. People frequently remark as to how much they admire his can-do attitude and how he is able to treat every challenge that arises as an opportunity. On a personal level, Patrick is a caring and empathetic person. He cares about the folks he works with, and they care about him. We would like to thank Patrick for his years of dedicated service and to make a motion that the R word, retirement, never be allowed in his presence. Please join me in congratulating Patrick on his 35 years of service. Last, but certainly not least, celebrating 35 years of service is Susan Kennan, Professor, Department of Health, Physical Education, Athletics, and Dance. Sue came to Dutchess from SUNY Cortland with an MSc in Health Education. She has also acquired a Master's in Health Services Administration from the Sage Colleges and a certifications as a stress management educator, Red Cross instructor, and healthy behavior coach. Sue currently specializes in teaching safety and first aid, women's health, and her own developed course of stress management. She has also chaired the Promotion and Tenure and College Life Committees, was president of the American Association of Women in Community Colleges for 4 years, Health Educator Coordinator, Evening and Off-Campus Supervisor, Acting Department Chair, and Faculty Advisor to the Women's Club. In community, Sue has been active as a Planned Parenthood board member with the Domestic Violence Services and American Red Cross, and has participated as a speaker and a fundraiser for many community and campus groups. Most recently, she volunteers for the Guiding Eyes program by training and home socializing young puppies, and the rest of us, I would imagine, too. Sue also enjoys tennis, theater, traveling, and golf, for 3 years winning the DCC Foundation Golf Tourney for Females. She is the proud mom of a Dutchess graduate, Christy, who earned her doctorate degree and is now the Assistant Director of Counseling Services at Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. Sue recently became the proud mother-in-law of Adam, a professional golf teaching pro, and they're working together to improve Sue's golf score. Now, I hope you're not planning on leaving us, Sue. Congratulations to Sue. Please join me in celebrating her 35 years of service. Congratulations. And we have 1974, 40 years ago, the Oakland A's won the World Series. President Richard Nixon resigns. You won't have Dick Nixon to kick around anymore. Happy Days begins an 11-year run. Boy, that brings back memories to me. And the 110-story World Trade Center opened for business that year. Celebrating 40 years of service is John Falabella, Professor, Department of Business. Michael Arrojo, Business Department Head, says, over the past 40 years, John has come to represent the best of what Dutchess Community College is about. He came to DCC in 1974 and pioneered the creation of the Dental Assistant Program, setting up the program's curriculum and lab space, as well as serving as the first program chairperson. When DCC closed the program in the 1990s, John re-educated himself as a business educator and joined the business department. John has experienced all the best that DCC has had to offer and has personally known or worked for every single department head in the history of the business department. Over the years, John has served on all of the college's standing committees, a great number of subcommittees, even subcommittees of subcommittees, and some ad hoc committees, and has always been actively engaged in the professional staff union, serving as his department's due representative for over a decade. Indeed, John is our unofficial department historian. He has a keen sense of where we've been and shares his insight as our department plans for our future. A great co-worker, he has befriended every single faculty member in our department, offering them anything from teaching advice to boating tips. A native New Yorker from the city, he actively roots for his beloved Yankees and is an excellent orator of a treasure trove of baseball stories, both from the Yankees to his own personal playing days as a young man playing college ball in Illinois. He is a unique individual and will be greatly missed by the business department. John is retiring at the end of this semester. We wish John only the very best and thank him for over 40 years of contributions to Dutchess. Now, John says that he is grateful for the many lifelong friendships he has made here, both faculty and staff. He is proud to have played a role in the lives of thousands of students in dental technology from 74 to 90 and in business technologies since then, many who have gone on to successful careers. John says after 40 years, it's time to say goodbye, as this will be my last semester before retirement. I've been here for all 5 presidents, although Jim Hall and I passed by each other briefly, him departing, me arriving. And I have served under 10 department heads in 2 different departments. I would be remiss if I did not take this opportunity to say thank you to some people. To the members of the business department, faculty, and staff, thank you. It has been an honor and a pleasure to work with some of the best people I've ever known. To some people from DCC's past that are no longer with us, John Demenkoff, Larry Monaco, and Alfredo Fonts. I know they are listening, and to Carl Marchese, Joe Norton, and Holly Malella, thanks for just being you. Recently, I've been asked how I will spend my retirement days. That is an easy one to answer. I plan to spend more time with the three most important things in my life: my family, my friends, and my boat. Not necessarily in that order. So God willing and the tide rises, if you are around Norrie Point, stop by the marina and join me for a cocktail along with my friends John Walker, Jack Daniels, and Augustus Forrest. It's a dry campus, but not a dry boat. Dutchess Community College thanks you, John, for 40 years of devotion and service. Please join me in honoring. Today, not only do we celebrate the collective experience and service of these fine people we have honored, but we celebrate the entire community, all of you, as members of our DCC family. Here is one last look at today's honorees and the lives they have graciously shared with all of us. Let us bask in their smiles and their blessings.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got, don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because clap along if you know what happiness is to you.
Thank you for your time.
Let's give Esther a round of applause. That was fabulous. I think, you know, how it's like 1 year, there should be like a special year for president, you know, like with the dog, it's like 1 year is 7 years, a human thing, so. All right, so now we have lunches from 12 to 1. The entire college is invited for lunch. It's Italian, and we have another video to amuse you that's going to play on continuous loop in Drumlin Hall. So please join us for the lunch. Enjoy each other's company. Have a good day.
Just to remind all recipients for today to come up to the stage so we can take a group photo. And that includes you too. Yeah. See, I told you.